Oh my gosh. Okay. Ooh, guys, I'm so scared. First of all, I'm so sorry that we're like meeting like this.
Does not matter to me. I'm having a great time already.
Me too. I'm a changed woman, I've gotta say.
Lauren, like, does not really like horror at all. Like, she's read horror books before, but, like, this is her first, like, extreme horror, and she is a changed woman. I don't wanna spoil her thoughts, but she's
The suspense is killing me.
I think this is also my first extreme horror. I mean, apart from 100% Match, but that was like a stupid book.
That's a beginner.
Yeah, that one was whack.
Those were the training wheels.
Yes, for sure.
Hi everyone, welcome back. We are your three favorite booksellers. My name is Carlos.
I'm Lauren.
And I'm Rose, and we are joined by a special guest, the horror thriller queen herself of BookTube, Hailey Hughes.
Hello. Oh my god, that was a wonderful intro. Thank you.
What made you want to read Dead Inside? I first just have to ask that.
It's so popular and so hotly contested in the extreme horror community. Like, people go back and forth. I feel like some people will live and die by Dead Inside. They're like, it was my extreme horror awakening. And then some people literally have ripped pages out of the book.
I saw that. It was a woman that was like, "This book is disgusting," and she,
Yes.
like, tears it up.
I actually love her. Like, she is one of my favorite creators, but it's a very divisive book. Like, people cannot decide. There is not a consensus if it's good or bad. So I thought it would make a good discussion. And it was so popular, yet I hadn't read it. So it was just perfect.
I'm ready. I'm so ready. Dead Inside by Chandler Morrison. Should we read what the back of the book, like the synopsis says, even though it hilariously is like not at all what this book is about?
There's one that describes it as being erotic.
Oh,
Yeah.
No.
Maybe they
No.
changed it. Maybe that's like the old description.
What if we just say it's a romance between two people who do not fit in society?
is it a romance though?
I
I mean,
I mean,
low key, I feel like it could be.
It's a romance for someone, I guess.
representation matters for sociopaths as well. So
it does. You know what? Pardon me. A young hospital security guard with a disturbingly unique taste in women, a maternity doctor with a horrifically unusual appetite. When the two of them meet, they embark on a journey of self discovery while shattering societal norms and engaging in destructively aberrant behavior. As they unwittingly help each other understand a world in which neither seems to belong, they begin to realize what it truly means to be alive and that it might not always be a good thing.
I found the description that has the erotic.
Please take the floor.
In this bleak and disturbingly erotic debut novel, Iconoclast, do we know what that means? Chandler Morrison provides readers with a dark exploration of the nature of death, individuality, and generational identity. Along the way, lines will be crossed, taboos will be violated. Facts.
yes.
And common decency will take an extended leave of absence. This is not for the faint of heart or weak of stomach, or anyone who enjoyed 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, they just want to be different so bad. Like, this is the thing with the extreme horror community, and Rose, you can probably attest to this. Like, it's all edgelords. Like, they just want to be different so bad, and that description just captures it so well.
Very.
It gave, I'm not like other girls, but it was a guy.
It was giving Cole Sprouse in a big way.
It was so Cole Sprouse.
Not
Oh my God.
Cole, literally down to the cigarette. I cannot.
We were just talking about Cole and Dylan.
We were, and how disgusted we were that we did not grow up Zach girlies.
We were Cody girlies.
No, I was a proud Zach girly, and I've been vindicated.
It's so embarrassing.
I Should I say how I felt about this book straight off the bat?
All right, guys, listen. Spoilers, trigger warnings. This is
Big.
definitely like we have never talked about a book like this. So
Ever. Yeah.
there's gonna be talks of necrophilia,
Cannibalism.
things that have to do with fetuses. Just if you don't listen to this episode if you don't like that.
Just don't listen to it, period.
If extreme horror is not your thing, then probably sign off. But if you are here for a scary, silly time, then welcome.
We warned you.
And that was a very appropriate warning.
Yeah, but I love this book.
Go into your thoughts.
No. Lauren. Stop.
I loved it, you guys.
Wait, so did I.
Yes! Fuck yes, I was so scared. Rose was showing me your text messages and I was like, oh my god, she's gonna think I'm the craziest psycho in the world.
Not at all. I loved it. And I think my entire audience is going to be so shocked, gooped, gagged by that take. I think everyone's expecting me to abhor this book. But in fact, I did not.
I can't stop thinking about it. It is my current personality. I'm like, okay, well, that maybe not
Ew,
personality.
do not make it your personality, please.
She starts smoking inside right now. She just pulls out a cigarette.
Wow, I was not expecting this at all. And like, if anything, watching reviews of other people's reactions of this book only made me love it more because I was like, everything that they didn't like about it, I was like, that's why I rated it so highly.
I feel like I still can't process everything. I haven't even gave it a star rating. I don't know if I can. I feel like it's gonna be the one book that I can't rate because I just like I can't comprehend. I can't put it on a scale of 1 to 5. It's just so it's just so I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but I don't think I can rate it.
I feel like that's a very common feeling with extreme horror. Like every time someone messages me and they're like, I just read my first extreme horror book, they're in a crisis. They don't know how to rate it. I was the same way when I read Cows. That was my first extreme horror book was Cows by Matthew Stacco, one of the
That was
most
your first.
horrifying books ever written. And I was like, I can't rate this. And still to this day, I think I just like have it rated as a 3-star because it's just right down the middle. It's traumatizing. You don't know where to go at first.
I asked Rose this previously, and I think she gave a really good response, but because I have not dipped my toes in horror a ton, I did read Playground by Erin Beauregard. That one, I was also like Carlos struggling with how to rate it because I was like, well, I can't say that it was good or I'm going to be locked
Right.
in jail. And I can't rate it badly because it did its job. I'm extremely horrified.
I mean, everybody rates subjectively, obviously, but I rate very, very, very subjectively for extreme horror, especially even if like an author says that they meant to do something else, I still like take it as whatever I got from the book.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, it's the feeling that I got, even if, okay, things were horrifying. It's like, okay, but did I like how it was done? Did I feel like it wasn't just the author's voice, but they were actually trying to be creative? You know what I mean? So
You are speaking my language. I love that take because every time I critique an extreme horror book, it's like no one in the extreme horror community wants to hear it. They're like, well, that was the intention. So immediately all your opinions are invalid. And I'm like, except no, because that doesn't happen with any other genre. Like, can you imagine if that happens with fantasy? Like someone was like, oh, this magic system like didn't really work for me. It was very confusing. I'm going to give this book 2 stars. And all the comments were like, that was actually the intention of the author. Like no other genre has this issue. So I really appreciate that.
we see each other.
I will say when I first finished this book, I was like, I think it's a 3 from me. I was like very unsure of how I felt, but then God, as it just like saturated its horribleness into my body, I was like, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I wanted to talk about it with everyone. And like, I mean, I didn't, but only the people that knew what the book was and like, or even
Yeah.
had read it, I like just couldn't shut up about it. And then I was like, is this book a 4? And I was like, "This book is a 4." And then in my heart, I'm like, "Is it a 5?" It's not. I don't think. I don't think. We'll go into detail, but I loved it.
I'm still, like, processing it as well, like Carlos, but okay, when I first went into the book, I was like, "Oh my gosh, is this, like, the author's voice is coming through? Is he like this main character?" Because since it is first person, I'm just like, "Ew, gross," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I get it. You have sex with dead girls. Jeez."
Cool.
After we watched, we watched a YouTube video where the girl, like, interviewed kind of Chandler Morrison. I saw, like, his perspective and I was like, "Okay, I see what he was going for," and it really, like, shined through, I guess, because it felt campy, but also it could have been campy in a way that it's serious too. So I couldn't tell, like, my brain wasn't processing it, but I think I was entertained.
I mean,
I was definitely entertained.
what does he have to do? Throw the baby at you? Come on.
Oh my gosh.
I heard that you have pages of notes, Hailey, and I'm just thrilled. I'm
I
thrilled.
do. I was taking notes as I was reading whenever it just like struck me. And I'm like, surely I'll have like a 50% update and like maybe a 75 and then a final. Oh no, I have like 2%, 20%. Like every single break in the writing, like there were no chapter breaks, which was weird.
Yeah.
It just felt like this long fever dream. But every time there was a little break, I was like furiously writing because I was just intrigued from the first page. And I get what you're saying, like the campiness was there. I think there's a very important distinction for me with extreme horror. And it's, is this the author's voice? And that's a very specific feeling that I get where I'm out of the world of the book. And now I'm thinking about this man who wrote the book and myself and how that interaction might go versus am I just in the world of the book and I'm horrified? And that kind of feels more self aware. And I definitely think Dead Inside was the latter. It felt over the top. It felt like it was riffing on itself. Like there would be something misogynistic that immediately I would go, oh, that's horrible. And then 2 paragraphs later, it would be like, but don't call me a misogynist. And I'm like, oh, okay. You knew what you were doing there.
Any review that I've read, people were like, he hates women. And I'm like, that's your problem with the main character? That he hates women? Not that he's fucking their dead corpse? Like, what? Please, please. So right off the bat, I'm like, you shouldn't be reading this book then. I just think that that's what it is. This is satire. There's no way that this is real, you guys. Please.
I mean, when I first was reading it, I was like, is this an autobiography? Is he trying to tell me something? But yeah, no, I see the satire now for sure.
Throughout the day, Lauren has been with me, like, all day today. She's just been telling me, like, her thoughts, and I'm like, I think I've been convinced.
I've just been throwing my opinions at Rose all day, not giving any time for it to settle in her brain. I'm just like, no, this is what it is. I promise.
It's worked.
Good.
I think I enjoyed this book more than
Oh,
what I thought.
I definitely did too.
Do I like this book?
I think you liked it.
Okay, do I love this book?
Yes, yes.
No! Literally, after we finished, though, I just felt like I needed to go to prison, though. Like,
We all deserve jail time for sure.
I don't think that. I don't
You
know.
don't?
Like, I don't know. Maybe this is a hugely unpopular opinion, but like when I get that, like that very specific uncomfortable feeling, then I'm like, okay, I need to take a shower. I need to go to jail. But this is so different than that. Like, this is the type of extreme horror that I love because it's for a reason. Like, it has something to say. So it's not like we're just sitting around taking in this disgusting content for no reason.
Right.
That's the type of extreme horror that I'm like, throw it in the trash, burn it, Fahrenheit
Mhm.
451 this bitch, like we're done. But this one, it has meaning and I think it's worthwhile. And I'm sad that people seem to be misunderstanding this one to the point where I literally thought I was going to give it 1 star going in.
Yeah.
And I was so dramatically wrong.
I actually watched reviews prior to even jumping into the book. Just I wanted to like almost psych myself up for it. And so many people were like, it was just so dry, like the main character's not likable. And I'm like, do you how could the main character be likable? Like, this man is clearly not a good guy. He is having sex with dead women. Like, you want him to be Captain America outside the morgue? Like, I don't know what you want. And so that just already irritated me. And then just people saying that it didn't really have plot or that it, like, I don't know, just opinions that I was like, I feel like that's just not true. And I'm glad that I went into it with that headspace because, yeah, turned out they were all wrong. They were so wrong.
I think part of the issue, though, is that this book blew up on TikTok. So a
Mm.
lot of the reviews are from readers that don't engage with extreme horror often.
Mhm.
And I will notice if there's someone who has never read extreme horror before and they immediately have that, like, I don't know kind of reaction. I'm like, okay, maybe it's not for you. But Lauren, it seems like it's for you. Like, you didn't
It is
have any of that. I think you've discovered a new genre.
I enjoyed this book way more than I thought I would. Like, it was what I signed up for, you know? Like, it's extreme horror. I knew that I was gonna be extremely horrified. The people that are like, "This book is sick, 2 stars, 1 star," I'm like, "Girly, that's the point. Like, it's not supposed to be a walk through wildflowers over here, please." I don't know.
I love that you put it that way. A walk through wildflowers. Like, no, it is not that at all.
No. No, not one bit. Not unless there was a dead corpse there, then maybe he would walk through some wildflowers, but other than that,
That.
You wanna tell us about our main character? Like, what does he do? What's
So, we have does he have a name?
no. I mean, he does, but they don't say it.
Okay, so our main character is a guy who works as a security in a hospital, right?
Mhm.
And he likes to go into the morgue at night and have sex with the corpses just for funsies.
Just for fun.
Yep.
And we later meet,
Helen.
yeah, oh yeah, she does have a name. Her name is Helen, who also works at the hospital. She's a doctor.
People have been calling her a nurse. She's not a nurse. She's a maternity doctor.
Lauren's been waiting for that moment.
Common misconception.
And she doesn't fuck corpses. She eats them, specifically babies.
They're unalived babies.
We're like, how much can we say?
Yeah, I'm like,
Good thing is we're not monetized yet, so we're not losing any money here, but
That's true.
once we do, no money from this episode.
It would be amazing if y'all were just like, and now a break. Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring.
Or like we're talking about eating babies and we just cut to and now for HelloFresh.
That is kind of iconic. I would honestly consider ordering HelloFresh if they sponsored something like that.
Wait, that'd be so funny.
Code Helen.
Code Helen, no.
Haley, how does our main character stumble upon Miss Helen?
So she is in the morgue, naked, on a sheet, eating a dead baby that she had delivered the day before.
Is this the same baby that the husband killed his wife and himself
Yes.
over? Okay.
That scene was like, wow. It's like, okay, great start,
Yeah.
honestly.
That was wild.
Yeah, because all the nurses were like, security, security, come over here. And he was like, ugh, I'm like this lanky little thing. Like, what can I even do? And so he goes anyway. And yeah, hubby is very distraught because I'm assuming the baby was like a stillborn or something like that. The mom was holding it and it had already been deceased. And so the dad was like, no worries. We'll meet them soon. Stabs the wife right through like her nipple or something, I think it says.
Yeah, and then her eye.
And then he does it to himself. And it's all with like a scalpel.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I was just like, okay, this is what we're doing.
I thought the story was going in a dramatically different direction after
Mhm.
that. Like, I thought, oh, this man was like hired to be security and he was completely ineffective. Like, surely he's getting fired. And that just did not happen. They were like, I guess you win some, you lose some. Like,
It also made me want to do research though, because I'm like, do they not have camera systems in morgues?
I don't, because in the book, they're like, there's no cameras in here.
I feel like there are cameras everywhere. It's a hospital.
Especially in a hospital, yeah.
I'm a hit up Google super quick.
'Cause I don't think they have them in rooms, right? There's no cameras in rooms.
I'm gonna get flagged for this, by the way. If the
Oh,
police
God.
come knocking on my door, please tell them you all knew me as a great person. Do morgues have cameras?
I'm like, "Why do you wanna know?"
I've been seeing a lot of stuff on Twitter about how they're not hiring men at morgues because they like to have sex with the corpses. Yeah, so they either hire women or they work in groups.
Wow.
Should there be surveillance cameras? So yeah, it's looking like none.
Not.
So we love a book that is in fact correct with its information. There are no cameras in a morgue.
See, that is disturbing to me because I read extreme horror to be like, this would never happen. And it's very comforting to know that, like, this horrible stuff would never, ever happen in a million years. And I can go to sleep shutting the book, knowing that I'm safe from this depravity. But that is horrifying that they're literally leaning towards hiring mostly women because of this. Like,
Hmm.
I just got chills all over my body when you said that.
And it is important to note that our main character, why he was never given a name, not sure, he specifically said that he likes to have sex with dead women because it's the best of everything. They don't talk, they're cold and tight, I think is a word that he used. Horrible. He only needs to like serve himself, so like he doesn't have to worry about their pleasure. And basically he just said that that's how he likes his women, but he's not a misogynist. So
And I think that speaks so much to like the commentary of the book, right? It's like this guy is kidding himself. He thinks that he's this edge lord and he's not misogynistic. It's just what he prefers. And it's like, dude, you're so scared that you won't be able to pleasure a woman or even fucking talk to a woman that you're so focused on your own pleasure. And that's how misogyny fucking gets you, bro. You are a victim.
You're a victim of massage.
but I read Bukowski, so I'm different.
Right. He's
Oh my
evolved.
gosh. When he was reading that one book towards the end and he was like, "This is hard to read even for me." I was like, "Dude, please."
It was giving some extreme horror creators on BookTube. It was really giving that. I'm so sorry to say.
Tea.
Tea.
What I do appreciate is a good backstory because they give us a little bit of a backstory of how this necrophilia came to be. And it's as awful. It's as awful as you would think. And basically, he's at a party. It's in college, right? He's in college. It's like a frat party or something like that.
I thought it was high school, but I don't know.
Yeah, he was a freshman in high school.
Goes to a party, sees a girl unconscious on a bed upstairs, locks the door, unconsensually touches and inserts himself in her. Yeah, he was like, "Wow, this is great. She like isn't bothering me and I'm getting all the pleasure." And then she ends up getting pregnant. She is not forced to abort the baby, but I guess like her boyfriend was like, "Don't keep it." And so she was pressured into not keeping it. Then she got depressed and slit her wrists and died.
Yeah.
Like,
Yikes.
wow.
But does he go and like have sex with her corpse?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, he does.
Yo, that's crazy.
He's like, then I went to the funeral home and I had my way with her one last time. And I was like,
Oh, okay, I do remember that.
yeah.
Can I just say these characters had more depth and backstory than any character in Fourth Wing?
Oh.
Don't
Wow.
you fucking dare.
Carlos.
I'm so serious. Because we also got Helen's backstory. Their lives were so complicated.
I'm getting in my car. I'm driving to beat your ass. Hold on.
I don't know. I feel like we got more from these characters in 200 pages than anything from the 500 pages of Fourth Wing. But anyway.
Everyone come for Carlos in the comments. Come for him in the comments, please.
But we have to go into Helen's backstory too, because
Please.
that was crazy.
The way that I am going to hell because I laughed my ass off when this dad
You could not stop laughing.
oh my god, when this dad threw the ferret against the wall, I was sobbing. I was laughing so hard. I was like, because my imagining it in my head, I just like
That was wild. I was not expecting him to say that.
So Helen, as a child, had a pet ferret, and it was her favorite thing. This is what I was even going to say. Just the fact that a child is sleeping with a ferret every night, that immediately just had me in a weird space. I'm like, not you with a slimy little ferret in your bed.
red
Like,
flag.
that is immediately giving not like other girls. Like, what 8-year-old is like, yeah, I sleep with a ferret. I'm scared of her already. And she has a baby brother. He's like in the crib, right?
Yeah.
She wakes up cold in the night. She's like, where has my ferret gone? He is no longer keeping me warm. And she finds the ferret eating her baby brother. Killed him, ate him.
His face.
Mom comes in, horrified, screaming, throws up, passes out on the floor.
And then dies.
Literally chokes to death.
The dad is like, oh my god, my son got his face eaten by a ferret and my wife is dead on the ground. Let me just toss this ferret at the wall. Pulls a total John Cena. Boom. Ferret's head busted open, brain matter on the ground. And what does sweet, unassuming Helen do? She eats the ferret. Why would she do it? Nobody knows, except I have a theory. So,
Okay, theory.
Wait, does she eat the ferret? I thought she just held it.
I thought she ate it. Did she eat the ferret or did she eat the brother? She ate something.
That's such a crazy question. Did she eat the ferret or did she eat the brother?
Some kind of cannibalism awoken in her.
Yeah, because she tastes something.
She tasted something and she's like, I got a taste of that sweet, sweet corpse and I'm never going back.
It was funny when she was telling the story and then the main character, he was like, hell yeah, Samson. Kill that baby.
He was like, I love when kids die.
Literally, he said that though. He said that exact line.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, yeah. What's your theory about her taste for ferret blood?
So, if we take Helen's backstory and Mystery Edgelord Man's backstory, I think Chandler Morrison, and this is conjecture, like we don't know if this was his intention, but this is what I would like to believe. I'm a trauma therapist. I would like to believe these are two very different pictures of how people could possibly respond to trauma. They're like two extreme responses that kind of make sense in a weird way, in an extreme way, in an over the top way, which hence extreme horror. Especially the way that like they were so shocked when they disclosed their backstory to the other person that that person was not judging them for what happened. Like this acceptance was insane to them. And the way that, especially with Helen, her own self-loathing for her response was maximized as soon as Mystery Man saw her in her response.
Mm-hmm.
And the way all the traumatized, fucked up people with these massive responses can like see it in each other, which we haven't touched on the girl in the hospital bed. But as soon as our main character goes to see her, it's like he knows immediately, like, I can see it in you. And it's very similar to the way that like people in real life, not extreme horror land, can see trauma in each other. Oftentimes we recognize people that have gone through the same things as we have. So I just saw it as that in a very extreme way. And then Mystery Man kind of like said that he experienced this from birth, so it's giving psychopathy. And Miss Girl, Helen, had this extremely horrifying scenario happen to her, so it's giving sociopathy. Like these are just two very extreme cases of what I read in my textbooks in graduate school, which other people might not see it that way, but that's how I choose to see it. So that's my theory. And I stand by it.
Especially, like, just the way that they responded during that situation as a child. I mean, she didn't necessarily want to be what she is or what she's doing, but, like, that was her response, like, immediately.
I also really liked the contrast of how Helen understood what she was, but again, like you said, she hated herself for it, it seemed. And she, like, obviously progressively got a little batshit as the story went on. But at the very beginning, she was like ashamed that she liked to eat dead babies. And she could not really accept that about herself, whereas polar opposite, our man was like unashamed completely of how he liked to have sex with dead women. But I mean, he wasn't like screaming it from the rooftops by any means, but he was like, yeah, I'm a monster, it is what it is, I'm a sociopath, but not a misogynist.
He loved being different.
In a weird way, I kind of related to that. Like, I could see myself in my trauma healing journey in both of these characters. There were
Yeah.
definitely times where I'm like, no, being a depressed middle schooler makes me so different. Let me just revel in the dark and read Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk. And then there have also been times where I'm Helen and I hate what I've gone through and the way that it affects me. And I just wish that I could be like normal people and not have
Mhm.
this thing following me around all the time. So I don't know. That's the way that I like to see extreme horror. I always go to my like weird psychological interpretations, but there's a beautiful side to it if you dig.
There is, for sure. And I think I enjoyed so much his like little freak out where he was like, "Oh my god, wait. Helen's also fucked up and a freak. Like, am I just a normal person actually? Like, is everybody fucked up?
Yeah.
This is my worst
Ah.
nightmare." And I'm like, "You're not special, please."
You saw his whole psyche just like crash down when he realized he's not the only person who's experienced trauma.
I hated him, but I was like, "Am I rooting for their love?" Kind of. Like
I was. I was.
See, it's a romance. I'm telling you, it was a romance. It was a romance in disguise.
Did you want them to be in love, Carlos?
Yeah, I feel like they were perfect for each other.
In a weird way, they were.
Aw.
They needed to end up together.
They saw each other. That was more romantic than fucking Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. I'm sorry.
Tell them. Scream it. Scream it.
'Cause they develop a little relationship against our main character's not against his will, but against his, like, own mind,
Yeah.
whatever.
It's just his urges.
Exactly. She kept asking him out, and he was like, "I'm not gonna go on a date with you," and she's like, "I didn't call it a date, you did," and he's like, "Ugh, fine." She's like, "Okay, let's go on a date." They went out to dinner, right? And then they get back to her place, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, am I hard for her?"
Because she's like, "Do you want to come inside?" And he's like, "Ugh, I know what this means." Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he, like, runs out. I don't even know, did he even get his pants down or
He
what?
did get his pants down and she started jerking him off. And then he was like, gotta go, you're alive. I gotta go.
Wait, didn't he come on the car?
And then he finished himself outside.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he came
Yeah,
outside. I
yeah.
was like, "At least, like, be inside your car." Ew.
I was picturing him like feeling the cold metal of the vehicle and being
Yes.
like, ooh.
Right in the exhaust.
Just stick it in there.
Oh, we need to talk about Tamara, our girly pop, Tamara.
Oh, yes, Tamara, one of the patients.
Yeah, people have very strong feelings about Tamara and her love for consensually unconsensual sex, I guess is what it can be called. I don't know.
Oh God.
I don't even know. Yeah.
I had a very extreme reaction to this when I first read it. And I was like, okay, this is the thing. This is the thing that's causing people to rip the book. Okay, I get it. I understand it.
Yeah.
But then as I kept reading, I was like, oh no, she's just like our main guy and Helen. She's just like convincing herself of this thing to cope. So like obviously, yes, the narrative of like women enjoy being sexually assaulted. It's horrible, it's heinous, and it's just untrue. It's
Right.
extremely disrespectful to survivors to even say that. But this is extreme horror. And in this case, I don't know, it just feels like a coping mechanism. It feels like something she tricked herself into believing. And she was on her way out, right? She was dying. So if that's the thing that she needed to tell herself in order to let go and move on, as a survivor, it resonates with me. It felt problematic at first, but the more that I read it, it just felt extremely, extremely, extremely sad and like a little relatable. If you've ever tried to convince yourself of something that you know is not true just to try to be okay with it.
I think I was just so shocked by it that I was like, "Oh my god, someone really wrote this in a book?" Like, it was just kinda crazy to me, and at first I was like, "I wonder if this is trying to just romanticize really, really rough acts of intercourse?"
This is a trend in extreme horror right now. There's kind of like a movement right now where extreme horror authors are like, how far can we push the envelope? And
Yeah.
men are just saying the worst things they could ever possibly say about their female characters. And I've read books with this trope where there's a male character that says this female character would like to be R word. Like that is the narrative that they want to push to be as terrible and edgy as they possibly can. But in other books, and I won't name them, it felt icky to me. It felt wrong. It felt like there was no commentary. And I did not get that same uncomfortable feeling with this book. So I'm just going to go ahead and give it. It gets the Haley pass.
I think it helps too. We get some of her backstory. Fine, Carlos, you win. There is a lot of backstory in this. Fine. Cuz like even she tells us like her story of when she first started enjoying it. And obviously we're hearing her as a child about her uncle, I believe.
She's 7.
Yeah, we all know she was not enjoying that, but like her mind maybe to make it okay was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I do enjoy this," even though she doesn't.
Right.
But then our man, his response was, okay, she's being really vulnerable with me. She's telling me, you know, her story, what it is that she likes, whatever. And he just, I'm gonna fuck you when you're dead. And she's like, yeah, you are, aren't you? And he's like, that wasn't the response I thought. She's like, "No, no. I see you. You're like me. You're fucked up and let's, you know what? I'm going to enjoy it." And he was like, "You're going to be dead." And she was like, "I'll enjoy it. Trust me." And he was like, "Okay." Like he was getting a little uncomfortable. And then that scene where he,
Yeah.
you know, does the thing. I was genuinely so creeped out when he was like, "And I didn't look at her because I thought I would look up and she would be smiling." I was like,
That gave me chills.
Yeah, that was wild.
but yeah, that was probably the hottest take of this book, maybe.
I think so. I think that's the thing that's upsetting reviewers the most.
Yeah.
And then the clinic scene.
Oh,
Oh god, not the clinic scene.
And who wants to describe this clinic scene?
I do not.
No.
Please don't make me.
set the scene for me. Set the scene. Set the scene.
One night, I think this is after the first little date, right? Helen takes our main character to an abortion clinic because she's like, I don't normally do this at the morgue or at the hospital. Like, I normally break into different clinics at night when people aren't there, right? And so she wants to take him to one of the places that she goes.
Because her big thing is, I want you to watch me eat.
Yes. And so she takes him in there and he's like going through the trash cans. He's like, "Oh, is this where they keep them?" And she says, "No, that's just, the needles and whatever because it says hazardous material or whatever." She opens the freezer and
Yeah, she's gone for, I think he says like 10 minutes or something like that, because he finishes a whole cigarette and then he throws it in the hazardous waste and he's like, girly girl, you good in there? And she's like, got her mouth full, and she was like, yeah, like all good things here. She's got little bits of baby in her, you know. She sits on her sheet and keeps devouring said infant.
And she has to be naked to do this, her little ritual. She has to be completely naked.
She doesn't want to get dirty.
Yeah, that's what she says, but it's because she also likes to pleasure herself while she eats, which is a whole other.
That's crazy.
So she's doing all that. She's eating, she's pleasuring, and our homeboy is like,
The sound effect.
hard as a rock for this chick, okay? And so he finishes himself while she does the same for herself. They're both done now, panting, just, oh my gosh, that was crazy. He ends up falling asleep for a little bit,
Takes a little nap.
comes back to us, and she's like, got something behind her back. And she's like, I have a gift for you. And he's like, girl, no, I said I didn't want to bite. Like, please, that's your thing, not my thing. She's like, no, silly goose. I want to put it on you. And you're gonna, have sex with it. And he's like, what? And she just kind of does it. He audibly gasps and is like, he's like, this is I think he said like tightest and coldest thing he's ever felt.
Not the word he uses the C word when he's describing.
Oh yeah, he uses that a lot.
That's rough.
That for me, when he was describing that and he used the C word, I was just like, that's yucky. That's so yucky.
For me, it was when he was describing holding its little waist.
Oh God.
Oh, and his fingers were like digging in,
Oh my-
right? Yeah.
The head.
Oh my god, the head popping off.
Well, because at first he said that it was just like kind of lopsided and like holding on by a little bit of flesh. And then as he kept being more vigorous, we'll say, it ended up toppling off and falling on his abdomen, his chest or whatever, just on his body. And then he even says, yes, I'm fucking a headless dead baby. That's what it is now.
While he is eating out Helen.
Oh yeah.
First of all, the wording for that was awful too, because he's like, Helen just keeps gushing. And I'm like, for what? For what? Like, please.
This is where things like started to turn into a fever dream for me. I'm like, okay, how did we get here? How am I just like, okay, yeah, I'm reading this and this is happening.
Literally, because I went back and forth with reading the book and the audio, but I did mostly audio. Brave soldier for that, by the way. I
Yeah, you are.
don't know how I did that, but I was literally like, someone wrote this. Like, someone had to come up with this scene, put pen to paper, and submit it for the world to devour.
Devour.
Okay, that was a bad choice of words, but
Yeah, maybe
That
let's
was
not.
bad.
I was interested to know everyone's reaction too, because like I've read other books that have scenes with fetuses that are like this, and this felt like not the worst. I don't want to say the worst, but kind of.
I would agree with you.
Yeah, because it wasn't even extremely like there wasn't a lot of imagery.
I sped read that scene because I just wanted to get it over with.
that scene and I think it was the opening scene were the hardest ones for me, like squeamish wise, because the opening one was really bad with him describing like the death gases coming out of the corpse and pressing down on its
Oh,
stomach
yeah.
and like
Yeah.
I am not a body horror person, so all the like bodily function, fluid talk, that's when I was like, I have to take a break and put this book down.
Also, wasn't there a scene where she was eating a baby and took a bite out of its head and like slurped up the brains or something? Because if I remember correctly, that's the part that I was like, what the fuck am I reading? I literally almost threw up.
Was that the ending?
wait, what was it again?
Where she like took a bite out of the head of the baby and like he described like the slurping noises that she was making while she was like eating the brain.
Oh, it's at the end.
Oh, is it at the end? Okay.
Can I read this? I'm just gonna read the second half of it.
Okay.
Gnawing on it a little and then slurping the rest up like a spaghetti noodle.
Yeah.
Page 157 for our listeners.
Because that was her baby with main character. I thought that was so good, by the way. I thought that was so good that she got pregnant and she was like, I'm going to be mom of the year. And then all of a sudden she was just going downhill and she was like, just kidding. It's going to be fucked up like the both of us. Maybe it'll be a serial killer. And I was like,
That made me kind of sad when he was like, "You're gonna end up eating the baby." And then with like what happened at the end, I felt like he kind of got into her mind about that and she was overthinking like, "Okay, I guess I'm just gonna end up doing that." Like I kind of felt bad that he kept saying that.
I felt the same way. Like, that's not her fate. Just because that's what she's done up to this point, she's capable of change. She can be the queen and the mother we want her to be. Mother could be mothering, but he's not giving her the chance.
Exactly.
Intergenerational trauma. That's how it happens.
yikes. Yikes. Yikes.
What about the car crash?
Right?
I loved it. I loved it. I was like on the edge of my seat. So basically, what happens is our main character is driving home and he sees a car crashed into a tree. And at first, he's like, ooh, maybe there's a dead girl in there and she's fresh. Let me go get her. And he walks up and there is a dead girl in the car, but she's not dead yet. She's on her way out. She's seconds away from death. And she's like, help me, I'm not okay. And the fact that like she was about to die and she goes, I'm not okay, like me. Me. So he has this crisis of conscience where he's like, do I intervene or do I hide in the bushes, wait for her to die, and fuck her corpse? And we're like, I was on the edge of my seat. I'm like, what is he gonna do? And he experienced human connection. And for some unknown reason to him, he experiences compassion, empathy, and calls and saves her life.
Yeah.
And you can even still see him in the crisis after he's made the call because to the paramedic, he's like, don't tell me if she makes it or not. And then he's like, wait, yeah, do tell me. And then he's like, wait, no, don't. And then he's like, do. And it's like, bro, your whole psyche is being torn apart in front of our eyes.
Yes, I was so surprised because like, he took off something, right, and then put it on her forehead because she had, like, a gash or whatever, and then it said, "With the other hand, he called 911." I was like, "What? He's actually calling for help?"
I mean, I feel like towards the end, before that, you start seeing a little bit of development in his character. So I did think he was gonna call.
You had faith in him, not
Yeah,
me.
I did because you can see how like Helen starts losing it, and then he starts becoming more compassionate. So
Our king is healing. Yeah.
oh, and then when he meets the guy at the bar,
Immediately, I knew.
me too. Me too. I knew it. Our main character goes to a bar and meets a guy that's having marriage problems, and he gives him a little bit of advice, which he doesn't do very often, to bring home flowers.
Which advice is loose.
Yeah, the guy's like, "My wife's cheating on me. My wife's cheating on me." And our main character's like, "I mean, buy her flowers?"
He was grasping at straws.
But then his inner monologue is like, ugh, who am I? I'm saving marriages out here now. I'm like,
Yeah, I actually highlighted a line that says, "What is happening to me? I'm saving lives, saving marriages, and helping start families for fuck's sake." And I wrote, "We love character development, period."
He had an arc. Like, he really had an arc.
Yes, he really did.
I felt so dumb though. Like, I did not put two and two together that this was Helen's husband
Mm.
sitting at this bar. And he had kind of had these like little to the side interactions with like characters that obviously aren't going to come up again.
As soon as he was like, "My wife's cheating on me," I was like, "Oh, that's Helen's husband."
I didn't know that immediately, but over the course of the conversation, I was like, oh, you have to be related in some way. It would only make sense that you're connected to Helen. I didn't think it was a husband. I didn't remember that she had a husband.
Well, I don't think we knew, right?
Oh, okay. So I wasn't dumb. I just wasn't supposed to know.
Yeah, well, because he said, like, "Oh, she hasn't been wearing her wedding rings," and so that obviously would have been dialogue for our main character to be like, why do you keep hitting on me like you're married?
Right.
I know you eat dead babies, but there's a line. Adultery is my line."
Yeah, I literally turned to Lauren during that, like, little scene. I was like, "That's Helen's husband, huh?" And she was like, "I can't lie, yeah." Okay, so we know that this is Helen's husband. Well, kind of towards the end. But her pregnancy,
I was rooting for her to be a mom.
I kind of was too.
Same.
I was rooting for it, so then when she called him sad and was like, "It's dead inside." First of all, I squealed because I was like, "The title! We love hearing the title!"
I did not catch that.
Didn't he say something along the lines of like, "Are you sure?" And she's like, "I'm a fucking maternity doctor. Of course I'm sure."
yes.
Yeah.
I was like, this man really does not give a shit about Helen. He remembers nothing about her except for her dead eyes and her golden hair that's always just
Yeah.
perfectly over her shoulders.
Always how he describes her.
Also, I feel like Helen's description minus the blonde hair is literally Helena from the music video Helena by My Chemical Romance. Like literally all goth girls wanted to look, me included, wanted to look like Helena, and that is our main character's dream woman.
Real. That is so real. I did not even put that together until right now.
Just her like
Yes.
Oh, when he gets to the house or to Helen's house and she was she already naked?
I mean, probably.
she was already prepped and ready to go. That's why she couldn't open the door.
Yeah, he described her as like her legs were open, ready to whatever. And in the end, she does eat her own baby, okay, guys. And it's so, I'm so sad for Helen.
She digs around in her stomach like a grocery bag and pulls this thing out.
You know what it reminded me of? The Poppy War.
There is a scene in the Poppy War. It's like at the very end, so like sorry, spoilers, guys. Um of a pregnant woman.
She's getting R-worded, and I forgot what they're called, but he basically like digs into her stomach, takes out the baby, and then like rips the head off.
Should I read fantasy?
The Poppy War is so good.
You like Ring Shout, you're like
Huh.
But yeah, it reminded me a lot of the Poppy War in that scene. I always remember that scene in the Poppy War because it was so crazy to me when I first read it.
poor Helen. Oh my gosh, she was eating her baby and she was
And
like
bleeding out.
yeah, but she was like giddy. That's the way that our character described him or described her. And she was just like losing it at that point. Like,
Yeah, she was doped up on Vicodin and she was
Yeah.
having blood loss
mhm.
from giving herself a C-section.
Yeah, and he's just watching her, right? He just watches her till she dies, and then he's like, "Okay, my turn."
Well, because she's like, "I want you to have sex with me." And he's like, "Not till you're dead."
Yeah.
This book is crazy. I can't.
Okay, yeah, the end, he goes absolutely feral on her body. Like, before we were seeing him do some questionable things to these bodies, but like with Helen,
Different level.
Pulling her hair, the eye socket,
Her
like
organs, everything.
yeah, he was like, "I've always wanted to do this." Scoop, like eyeball out of socket and just like
Oh yeah, I forgot that.
replaces her eye with his penis.
Also a common trend in extreme horror.
in yeah.
The eye socket gets played with a lot. Men, who knows? They have some kind of something about that.
Talk about a mind fuck.
Oh my
Oh, sorry. I love a good pun. Wait, Rose, what was the pun that? Oh, the Little Caesars!
Oh my gosh, Little Caesar. Little Caesar. This was the dream, right? Where
Yeah.
everyone came together to eat a little boy named Caesar. And she was like, and we will eat little Caesar. And I was like,
That was iconic. And that was one of the moments that I was like, this book is not taking itself seriously. This isn't like
Mhm.
edgelord material. This is someone riffing on that because not Little Caesar.
In that moment, I was like, It's a 4 from me. At the bare minimum, it's a 4. I knew with Little Caesar. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, I underlined it.
I love this book.
I would love to hear your thoughts on other extreme horror books. Like,
Me
I think this is a new
too.
era.
Yes.
We're gonna see where this takes me. I'm a little scared. I'm a lot of scared.
I'm excited for you.
Me too.
Carlos, are you gonna read any more extreme horror?
I think I might. I did enjoy this enough to where, like, I'm like, okay, I think I do like extreme horror.
What was your final rating, Carlos?
I don't know. I don't know.
You have to rate it.
Do I?
Yes.
Do I have to?
It can't go unrated, please.
I'll give it a 3.5.
Safe.
Okay, fair.
Maybe once I read more extreme horror, I'll go back and change it.
Rose, after talking more about it and letting it simmer.
Is this a 4.5 for me? It might be. After this, I think it is.
Oh my god.
No shot.
I think it is. I was not convinced in the beginning, like whenever I first started reading it. And then after hearing one of our other coworkers, Nick, talk about it, I was like, okay, maybe am I gonna hate this? And so I went into it thinking I was not gonna like it. And then I 4.5.
Okay.
I think I do like it. I love it actually. Oh my god.
I was gonna say, actually, the first time I heard about this book was from Nick, and it was a couple months ago before it blew up, and he wanted me to read it, and I was like, okay, I'll give it a try, but then I never read it until now.
And Nick rated it a 2.
I think the clinic scene is what brought it down for him.
And he's read a decent amount of, disturbing books. And he was like, I never thought I had a line. But that was it.
I just had a thought. I think many people, this is all alleged, but maybe people in the extreme horror community like to be different, and they like to say, I like to read dark literature. And maybe some part of them subconsciously does not like that Chandler Morrison is ripping them to shreds because you're not different, girly. You're not. This is making fun of those people, and that's why they're having such an extreme reaction. So, Hub by Matt Shaw.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's banned from Amazon. It's banned from Goodreads. It's like basically child corn on the cob. Okay? It's horrible, 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 horrible. Worst thing I've ever heard of. And I refuse to read it and refuse to give this author a platform. And there are people who have given that piece of flaming garbage, which should be burned for Fahrenheit 451 style, 5 stars, that have given Dead Inside 1. And I think that says all it needs to say.
I watched videos of people that did read it.
Same.
And I was like, this sounds like somebody's fantasy, like their own personal fantasy that they're writing out.
And that is the line. That is the line where it's like you're no longer riffing. There's no longer commentary. You're just a sicko. And Chandler Morrison is like, these sickos, here they are, and let's make fun of them.
It's punching you in the face, being like, this is a joke. Why are you taking me seriously? Stop. Please stop.
And that take, as soon as it entered my brain, I'm going to change this to a 5-star.
I'm so glad you said that because I want to make it a 5 so bad.
Wait,
So
I think I might go up to 4.
Yes! This is iconic.
I'm calling 911 on us right now. So I did see a little bit of Barbie in this book.
Yes.
Are you familiar with America Ferrera's iconic monologue about being a woman?
Yes, 100%.
Because our main character has a very America Ferrera Barbie moment where he just goes off on this rampage about what it's like following societal norms, cookie cutter lifestyles. I was like, America, are you good? Like,
is this what you want? A driveway, a garage, a car. And I'm like,
a picket fence.
Literally naming what everyone had. At one point, he was like, you want a mortgage? And I'm like, yeah, I would love to afford to buy a house. What are you talking about? I'm like,
it was crazy. And the fact that he made it a point to be like, what is this emotion? I'm getting aggravated. My voice raises. And he's like, yelling at her like, normie.
It was very much Jughead. Have you ever seen me out without this hat? I'm so
Oh
weird.
my
I'm a
gosh.
weirdo.
I'm a creep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, Chandler, you saw Barbie.
For sure.
I'm so excited, you guys. This journey is going to be a winding road.
It's a new turn for our podcast, guys.
Have me back, please. I would love to read more extreme horror and hear your takes.
I'm so down. Wow, I can't believe that Carlos likes this book. Rose and I were like, he's giving it a 2.
Yes, we thought like he was gonna hate it because he hated 100% Match, and I felt like a lot of people liked that book. I didn't read it, but I thought it was well liked, and Carlos was like, "Ugh, I hated it."
I just thought that one was boring.
What?
Yeah, I don't know why. And then the ending was just so dumb to me.
The dumb ending is like very standard.
What'd you guys think about this ending? I loved it. I loved how ominous and weird it was.
I wanted more from the ending because, like, I'm not a shut, closed door ending type of gal. So I wanted to, like, I don't know, I wanted to see him to his end, you know? But it doesn't take away from the book for me.
And I just loved the very last line. Like the buildup was so great because he was like, oh, the headlights are coming in through the window. I can hear the husband, Helen, you home? I'm ready for sex. I got you flowers.
Mhm.
And the last line of the book is him on the couch smoking a cigarette, very Cole Sprouse. And he's like, I hope he likes sloppy seconds.
Iconic. Like,
Fade to black.
Literally
Fades to
fade to
black.
black just with the smoke. So good. I was like, I would not have wanted that to end any other way.
agree.
And then I'm thinking, like, what could have possibly happened next? The husband comes in, finds the scene in a fit of rage, just fucking kills the main character, or calls 911. The main character's in jail. That would have been not as satisfying of an ending if he was just like in jail.
And that would make me sad. Like, no, my king. I'm still. I need him to be free. The one part where he was like, I'm not really hurting anyone. Like, they're dead people. Like, he was kind of having me convinced. I was like,
my God.
all right, I can get on board, maybe. Like, I would love to be his therapist. I would love to know, like, the ins and outs of his brain. I feel like just getting this little taste of 200 pages, I'm so intrigued.
Would you guys recommend this book?
Yes. Not for everybody, but yes.
Yes.
For extreme horror lovers, yes.
Well, I think we can wrap it up here.
Hope you guys enjoyed.
Our brains have melted. We're
Mm.
just shells of people at this point.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. We know we went a little extreme on this one, but it was fun.
And Hailey, thank you so much for coming and joining us for the insanity.
Thank you for inviting me. I love talking about extreme horror. If you want more tea on extreme horror, please check out my channel. I have a lot of extreme horror content going up this month in August. Some of it is controversial, so if you want to hear about it, whether to have your voice heard or hear a complete opposite opinion and eviscerate me in the comments, I welcome either.
Plug away, plug your channel. Where can they find you?
I am just Hailey Hughes at Hailey Hughes on YouTube.
You can find me at Flower Reads a Lot on Instagram and now on YouTube, even though I have been a little bit MIA, but I'm going back.
Iconic.
You can find me on Instagram at Kingdom of Books.
And you can find me on Instagram at Lauren H. Writes, as well as YouTube now as well. Yeah, read anything good. I had to do a pun. I'm sorry. I had to. Just like our main character. I'm very punny,
Very quirky.
So quirky, so different. You know me.
She's a weirdo.
Just a weirdo.
Actually, I forgot. I actually have to go check the monitors.
Oh my god!
That was